Hi, everybody, and welcome. We're just going to give people a few minutes to sign in, and then we'll get started. Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started. Hello, and welcome to Choose Love, Creating Safer and More Loving Communities. I'm Michelle Watson, the Volunteer Engagement Supervisor at NAMI New Hampshire, and I coordinate the annual conference along with Kimberly Samariba, who you may have seen earlier. We're so excited to welcome Lenny O'Keefe, and it didn't look like that Liberty is here today, but I'm sure he's going to talk a lot about Liberty to present the workshop. Lenny O'Keefe is a retired law enforcement professional who currently works part-time for the Concord, New Hampshire Police Department as a community service aide. He is also the handler of Liberty, New Hampshire's first police comfort dog. Lenny has over 20 years of experience in law enforcement and corrections field. In 2014, Lenny was awarded the National Correction Training Officer of the Year Award by the American Jail Association and the New Hampshire State Correctional Officer of the Year by the New Hampshire State Grange. In 2013, he was awarded the inaugural Above and Beyond Award and the W. Grant McIntosh Volunteer of the Year Award by the Greater Concord Area Chamber of Commerce. Lenny is married and has 4 children, a granddaughter, and a grandson on the way. Congratulations. In his free time, he loves camping with his wife and watching sports. Thank you for being here today, Lenny. I'm just going to quickly share our sponsors, and now I'm going to turn it over to Lenny. I'm going to stop sharing, Lenny, and you can start sharing.
Share screen.
Yep.
And make sure you turn your camera on, Lenny, so we can see you.
Let's do that first.
Okay. Okay, we're here.
Yay, I can see you.
That one. Yep.
Or is it this?
I think it's that too. Can you see the screen?
Not yet. We just see you.
Are we good?
It's coming. Okay, now you may want to do the swap up at the top, display settings.
Oh, I don't have that.
That's okay.
Okay, we'll go from here. So
We'll
thank
go
you,
from here.
everybody.
It's great.
Thank you, everybody. This is I'm honored to be here. I was asked by Shannon, who I'll explain who Shannon is, and also Scarlett Lewis. Scarlett Lewis is the mother of Jesse Lewis. Jesse was a victim at the Sandy Hook school shooting. It was just over 10 years ago now that tragedy took place. And basically, Scarlett has come up with this program called, and I'm going to go through and explain to you what Choose Love is. So this is Shannon. Shannon is the New Hampshire director of program director. She works out of the governor's office. She works just for the city of Concord, for the state of New Hampshire. She works all over the state. Shannon's, if you want any more information about Choose Love, Shannon's contact information is right there at the bottom. This is me. Again, I had a community service aide for Concord PD. I retired from law enforcement. I started my law enforcement career way back in 1990 for the Boscawen Police Department, and I ended my law enforcement career at the Merrimack County Department of Corrections. So my contact information is up there too. One of the great things about being the community service aide for Concord PD is I get to work with my partner. Her name is Liberty. Liberty was New Hampshire's first police comfort dog, but we'll go into more about Liberty towards the end of the presentation. So just a scale, this is you're just coming back from lunch, you've been at a conference all day, and it's just a little self-awareness test. I'm sure I don't have a lot of ones out there. Hopefully I don't have a lot of nines out there. But where are you right now? How are you feeling right now? So with that little test after lunch, we'll go into Choose Love. So the important thing here with Choose Love is that we all have the ability to choose love. Choose love, just like it says, it's a choice. So this program was created for schools, but this program is all over the state of New Hampshire now. It can be taught to adults. It can be practiced by adults. It can be practiced by kids. They have a infant program all the way up until 12th grade, but then there's the adult part too. So we'll talk a little bit about Choose Love and the journey to the here and now in New Hampshire. But before we start, I'm gonna introduce you to Jesse, and I'm also gonna introduce you to Scarlett with this small video. It's about 4 minutes.
It is August 24th, 2012, and Jess has brand new soccer shoes.
So prior to 2012, I was a single mom with 2 boys. It was kind of an unremarkable life. It was such a great life. You know, I just wanted to be a mom, and I just wanted to be with my kids.
Run the ball up to me.
One day, you're a mom with 2 boys, one boy riding in a car seat in the back seat. So one morning I'm holding hands with my 6-year-old in his car seat, and the next thing that I know, there is no 6-year-old. He's been murdered.
Cut.
So I had come home for the first time, and I was getting Jesse's clothes for the funeral, and I walked through the kitchen on my way out, and I noticed these 3 words that Jesse had written on the kitchen chalkboard shortly before he died. He wrote, "Nurturing, healing, love." These words were a message of comfort for his family and friends, and inspiration for the world. It's where we needed to turn, and I knew I'd be spending the rest of my life spreading this message. I didn't have to create a solution. There was one available, and it's called social emotional learning. And social emotional learning proactively prevents violence. I believe that Jesse is a part of this organization. I actually believe that he's leading it. And all I have to do is just be present. Live with a tremendous dichotomy in my life every single day. It's never out of my mind why I am leading a worldwide movement to choose love. It's because my 6-year-old son was shot in his 1st grade classroom alongside 19 of his classmates in one of the worst mass murders in U.S. history. I feel like I meet Jesse a lot in schools. I'll look into a child's eyes and I'll see Jesse looking back at me. And how blessed am I, and how grateful I am that my purpose is spreading a message of choosing love, and given to me by my 6-year-old son.
So if you ever have the opportunity to see Scarlett speak live, I definitely take advantage of that opportunity. She's a remarkable lady. And I think one of the most important things too is if you watch that, it said that this program was created in 2013. Jessie was shot and killed in December of 2012. So this program was created less than a year after she lost her child. So no matter our ages, no matter our backgrounds, we are all the same in the need to be loved and be loved and have authentic connections. We are all creating something every day in each other's presence. Our hearts, our intentions, and our stories have a ripple effect. Hope and solutions. So one of the things is we are all born with love. We're all born with love in our hearts. We come out, we immediately love mom, love dad, love the people we are with. So when Scarlett saw those words on the chalkboard that she talked about, nurturing, healing, and love, she reached out to some people, and some people reached back out to Scarlett and told her that those three words are in every definition, every language around the world. Those three words are in the definition of compassion. So she knew that she had to do something. So does anybody know the secret to happiness? There actually is a 75-year-long study that's being done up in Harvard. Many of the participants now have aged out of the study, but the secret to happiness is positive relationships, friendships, connection, belonging. We learn these skills, but we have to practice and we reinforce them daily to be able to incorporate them in our lives. So if anybody asks you about the secret to happiness, this is the secret to happiness, is positive relationships and friendships. So when we're dealing with each other and we're seeing these issues, especially working at the police department, on a daily basis, we see a lot of these issues. And the school shooter in Sandy Hook had these issues, but no one ever looked deeper. And that's what Scarlett's attention is that we need to look deeper into what's going on, dig deeper into the root cause of the problem. And we find that if we look, it's usually a lack of connection, coping, and essential life skills. Essential life skills is something we need to practice every single day for today, tomorrow, and the rest of our lives, personally and professionally, and increasing community support for each other. We need to reflect on how that will impact your mission for the community and the people you serve. So again, people have to learn to hate. We're not born with hate in our hearts. It's just not the way we are created. We actually are, we come out and love. Love is an instinct we have. So people have to learn to hate. And if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. It's a quote from Nelson Mandela. So Scarlett says that it was an angry thought that caused the tragedy. And basically when Scarlett was at Jesse's funeral, there was people from all over the world that was at his funeral. And they asked her how they could change the world, basically. And Scarlett says that she wanted them every single day to take an angry thought and change it to a loving thought, because our thoughts can be changed. So people, after they had left the funeral, started getting back in touch with Scarlett and telling Scarlett that it changed their lives. Taking that angry thought and making it into a loving thought had changed their days, had made their days better. So this was originally going to be the essence of Choose Love, was basically changing a angry thought into a loving thought. If you think about it, when I think about this, I often think about driving in the car. My daughter goes to school in Boston. My son lives in Boston. And when you get into Boston traffic, you have several angry thoughts. And now when you're aware of those angry thoughts and you think about those angry thoughts, why are we having those angry thoughts? It's causing us problems. It's causing us issues, having angry thoughts. The guy that just cut us off, he doesn't care if we're having angry thoughts or not. So just changing those angry thoughts into a loving thought it's life-changing. And again, it's all about your control. You have control. It's a choice. Choosing love is a choice. We can't always choose what happens to us, but we can always choose how we respond. And just want to go here. It's a cognitive triangle, right? Our feelings are based on our thoughts. Our behavior is based on our thoughts, or based on our feelings. And it's just this ongoing cycle, the cognitive triangle. So this is Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust survivor. And one of the things Viktor Frankl said was, between stimulus and response, there is this space. That space is basically our power. It's our power to choose how we're going to respond to whatever just happened to us. So again, if you think a stimulus, something happens to you, and then there's the response, but in the middle, there's that space. Sometimes it's a quick, sometimes it's longer, but how we respond to that stimulus lies in our growth and our freedom. Again, this is coming from a Holocaust survivor. Again, your response is your choice. It's our locus of control. I make things happen. Look what I can do. I can determine my future. And the external locus of control, again, this is you. This is the things that happen to you, is why bother? There's nothing I can do about my future. You make things happen. It's your thoughts, your feelings. It's how you make things happen. This is the chalkboard where Jesse left his message. Scarlett found this message. She was coming home to get clothes for Jesse after he had been murdered, and she found this on the chalkboard: nurturing, healing, and love. Of course, it's all phonetically spelled. Jesse was only 6 years old. In New Hampshire, this is all the places that Choose Love has been incorporated in. Shannon is amazing. We started in New Hampshire the Choose Love in Corrections program, and I'll speak to it more and show you some pictures. ACER teams are now using it. Scarlett did spoke here at Concord PD to all the police officers here. It's in daycares. It's in several schools in New Hampshire. There's a foster care program in New Hampshire. So basically, New Hampshire is leading the way in choosing love. One of the other big states in choosing love is Hawaii. Hawaii has Choose Love in almost every one of its schools. They actually altered the name of Choose Love out there to, I believe it's called Choose Aloha, but it's still the Choose Love movement. They use all Scarlett's stuff out there. New Hampshire, we did a Choose Love tour for a little over a year. We traveled around the state of New Hampshire to many communities, many schools. We did Choose Love. Scarlett spoke. We did different events at all these. The ones you can see with the police officers, we're doing poses with the police officers there. It's just a great program. This is the ACER team from, I believe it's the Nashua Milford area. When the ACER teams go out, they have a little Choose Love duck they bring with them. They speak about Choose Love to the children, to the parents. Our Attorney General. This is the Choose Love in Corrections right here. This is at one of their graduations. Again, New Hampshire was the pilot program. Liberty is you can see Liberty in the picture too, but we started Choose Love at the women's prison. Scarlett wrote a book, basically. The program goes along with the book. The ladies at the New Hampshire State Prison for Women had the book, and they had read some of the book, and plus they started a pilot program. There's about 19 different maybe chapters in the program, and they did about 11 of those pieces. One of the unique things about the Choose Love program for the prison is it's very much peer-based. Obviously there's somebody from the corrections program in the room and stuff when they do it, but it's very much peer-led. They use peer educators, and it's basically a peer support group. It's been extremely successful. I believe the women's prison has had now 3 graduations. The men's prison started about a year ago. They recently had a graduation. And And speaking from a personal experience, when we go to the prison, when we go to the women's prison, there seems to be this wonderful connection between the residents of the prison and Scarlett. I know forgiveness is a big piece of Scarlett's program, and I think that resonates with them. Scarlett, forgot her, forgave her, the gentleman who killed Jesse. And that's a big part. I think they're looking for a lot of forgiveness for their past things they have done. And a lot of them, most of them are going to go back out into society. So having that forgiveness and understanding that forgiveness piece is huge for them. But it's just a great, wonderful program. This is a governor's office. This is a program called Tiger. Tiger is a like a theater education program that's up at Plymouth State University. They travel around to all over New England, and they do performances at elementary schools in the area, high schools, and so on. And they actually last year they were with us on most of the tour. They went back, and now this year they actually have created a Choose Love program, Tiger program. So when they dance and they talk and they act, they do a lot of the Choose Love stuff in their program. It's absolutely wonderful, and the kids love it. This is after a Choose Love presentation at a school. Again, nurturing, healing, love. Again, these are 3 words left by Jesse. He left them to his family. Scarlett didn't know that these words were on the chalkboard until after what had happened at Sandy Hook Elementary School. This is Scarlett's book, Courage, Gratitude, Forgiveness, and Compassion in Action. These 4 words are the basis for the Choose Love program, the social emotional learning program that's in the schools. It's those four key areas that we focus on. If you choose courage, you choose gratitude, you choose forgiveness, you choose compassion and action, it leads to choosing love. Trauma's potential to transform us in positive ways. Many of us know about PTSD. I myself, after over 30 years in law enforcement, was diagnosed with PTSD. No one ever talked to me about PTG. PTG, as we know, in the health field, is post-traumatic growth. Learning from those experiences that are tough. I can tell you, coming from a corrections field and coming from working in a jail, saw a lot of tough stuff, saw a lot of hard stuff to see. And after that, the day after, they would bring someone in and they'd put them in a room and used to tell us if we needed to go talk to someone, just to go in that room and talk to them. No one ever went in the room. 30 years later, you get this backpack that you're carrying around full of horrible things you've seen. And you're surprised actually when you get diagnosed with PTSD. So we always need to remember, we all have those backpacks. We all see those horrible things and have those horrible things that happen to us in life. And we need to, as a society, get rid of that stigma so that we all can take our opportunities to unpack our backpacks on a daily basis. You really need to. So, and it took me to be involved with, I'll talk a little bit about the CISM teams in New Hampshire, law enforcement program called CISM, and the Choose Love program, for me to finally realize that, hey, listen, you need to go talk to someone. And so that's just what I got to say. But post-traumatic growth is actually a good thing. It's what's made us, it's what has helped us survive throughout history. So right now, if you all could do me a favor, if you could all think about a problem. Everybody got a problem they're thinking about? So just take a couple seconds. You don't have to write it down. Maybe you can just think about it in your mind, but I'd like you to write down one of your thoughts and feelings about that issue, the problem you're thinking of, just for a minute. Take that and just think in your mind, or you can even write it down if you'd like, but write down your thought and feeling about that one issue. This is really neat to do when you're speaking live in front of a group, if you do this with them, because usually the end of this is exactly the same, no matter who you're talking to. So was your answer, was it a solution, or were you focused on the problem? Because we seem to always focus on the problem. So we need to rethink, we need to redo, we need to focus on the solution. There are problems. We live in a world full of problems. We can talk about those problems over and over and over. If you watch the news or if you go online, you're going to hear focus on the problem. What we need to do is start focusing on the solution. And that's what this Choose Love program does. We have this epidemic going around right now of these mass shootings. And it's really easy to focus on the problem. In fact, most of the time there's a mass shooting, you're going to hear about problem. We need to focus on the solution. We need to dig deep. That tree that I showed you earlier, we need to find out why is this happening? If somebody is happy, if somebody has a stable relationship, basically has a stable life, if they love themselves and they love others, and I think loving yourself is a big part of that, they're not going to walk into a crowded building, they're not going to walk into a mall, and God forbid, they're not going to walk into a school and start shooting people. So positivity broadens your perspective and your worldview. Anger and fear narrows it. Happy, healthier, strengthened immune system, all the things that positivity does for you. Basically, I don't have to go through them, but they're right there. Again, 75-year study by Harvard. And not all the gentlemen they started following at the beginning of their study is still alive, but some of them are still alive. They're in their 90s. And again, the secret to a happy life, a good life, is basically relationships, strong, happy relationships. Character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only thoughts, experiences of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, vision cleared, ambition inspired, and success achieved. A quote from Helen Keller. When we, again, talking about that post-traumatic growth, that's how we get better. You know, we have an issue, we solve our issue, we move on. It's not an issue anymore. And we need to start thinking about that in our minds too. We have an issue in our mind, we fix that issue, and we move on. So it makes us stronger. This is social emotional learning. And in my own opinion, one of the things that stops us from getting the social emotional learning in something like Choose Love into every school is right now, the word curriculum seems to be a bad word in our society. Parents don't understand what social emotional learning is. When I grew up, mom and dad did most of my social emotional teaching. We are living in a society now where mom and dad are not home all the time. Some parents choose not to do social emotional learning. But it's something, to me, it's easy. It's a #1 way to have a safe environment. It's a #1 most proactive and preventative mental health initiative. #1 way to improve climate and culture. #1 attribute wanted by top employers. #1 way to break generational cycle of dysfunction, and #1 way to reduce taxes with proactive prevention. It's proactive. It's a proactive approach. The benefits of again, included, long-term studies of social emotional learning have showed increased health and well-being, physically, mentally, and emotionally. It reduced substance abuse, reduced mental illness, less incarceration, less violence and anger, less divorce rates, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And again, it always seems to come down to money, but when they did the study, the economic study and public health implications, basically for every $1 invested, there's an $11 present value return to the community. It reduces tax dollar expenditures of addressing symptoms of mental health issues, incarceration, substance abuse, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And there are studies that actually have proven this. If you look at the bottom here, for every 1 point increase in a child's social competency score in kindergarten, they were twice as likely to obtain a college degree and 46% more likely to have a full-time job by the age of 25. That's 1 point, and that's in kindergarten. For every 1 point decrease in a child's social skills scored in kindergarten, he or she had a 67% higher chance of having been arrested in early adulthood, 52% higher rate of binge drinking, and 82% higher chance of being in or on a waiting list for public housing. And this is money spent in kindergarten. And that's the place. That's the place, kindergarten. This is a study done in New Hampshire by the Spalding Residential Center. They implemented Choose Love curriculum in June of 2020. They did their first round, completed their first round of Choose Love curriculum in February of 2021. In June of 2020, 84 aggressions per week. February of 2021, they had less than 5 a week. June of 2020, 8% of her day was spent with people who were aggressive, basically. February, a year and a half later, 1% of her day was spent with people that were having aggressions. I don't have to read them all to you, but just for example, June of 2020, 19 physical aggressions per week. February 2021, 0. June 2020, 32 minutes per day of appropriate peer play. February 2021, 67 minutes of per day of appropriate peer plays. This is just putting the social emotional learning into their program. I can speak really quick. One of the schools in Concord does Choose Love. They do Choose Love every single day. About 15 minutes at the beginning of every school day is spent somehow in a Choose Love with a Choose Love curriculum. Myself and Liberty visits a school quite frequently, and it's nice because we can actually walk into that school and we can talk about things like courage, compassion in action, forgiveness, gratitude, and the students get it, the teachers get it. It's a great school. And basically the way I got involved in Choose Love is I was at this school and I was sitting in a kindergarten open house with Liberty because we get invited to a lot of events at the school. And so we're sitting there at kindergarten open house and I hear the principal of the school talking about this program that's going to make his school safer. And that's the way he looks at it. This is an initiative that he chooses to do in his school, 15 minutes of every day with the kids, and it's going to make it safer. So he started talking about Choose Love, and I started texting the phone number associated with Choose Love, and I at the time didn't know, but Shannon was answering me on the other end, and I said, this is what me and Liberty are really all about. We really want to be involved. So that's how me and Liberty got involved in the Choose Love program. And again, I've been to several schools with Scarlett and Shannon, the prisons, the jails, workplace. There's a workplace program. This is just from Spalding. In our Spalding community, we choose to love. We are thoughtful. We are expressive. We are grateful, strong, creative, and connected. And to this day, they're still using the Choose Love program. This is from Castle. Castle is a national program. They are a 501c3. They're basically the national SEL organization. I know they're a nonprofit. This is their wheel, their SEL wheel. You can see self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, social awareness. This is the Choose Love wheel. This is the one that Scarlett and her people created. talks about post-traumatic growth and resilience. When you do get to meet Scarlett, I will tell you that from my own opinion, she's probably one of the most resilient people I have ever met. Talks about the social emotional learning, character education. And all of the stuff that Scarlett speaks about is basically based on neuroscience. We have mindfulness program. We talk about growth mindset, positive psychology. And you can see in her wheel too, it's communities, businesses, homes, schools, classrooms. And again, it's about yourself, learning to love your authentic self. Just some of the Choose Love Extensions programs, the Tapping Solutions, Sensational Kids, Empowered Parenting, the Elizabeth Kubler-Ross Foundation. It's in 50 states and 120 countries. Scarlett travels around the globe teaching this. 13 million students have seen this Choose Love program. There's a Choose Love at Home program, and you can just go online to the Choose Love website, and you can download these lesson plans. When after first speaking to Shannon about Choose Love, I came back to the police department that day and took a bunch of the Choose Love programs online. They're online. The school stuff's online. There's a Choose Love program after coming out of COVID program, Choose Love at Home program. So survey results in May of 2022, the Choose Love Enrichment Program, 99% see an improvement in classroom climate. This is coming from the teachers. 98% see improvement in students' overall behavior. 73% see students getting along better. 83% see a more positive attitude. And 66% see an increase in academic performance. There's a Choose Love Champions program for sports teams. In New Hampshire, there was 2 young men that they were hockey players from Central High School. They reached out to Choose Love. They wanted to start a Choose Love program. So they hooked up with a Boys and Girls Club down in Manchester. And basically they would show the kids how to play hockey and do some hockey skills for half the time. And half the time they talked about Choose Love with the kids. Just an amazing program started by 2 students. The Choose Love calendar comes out every single day. There's Choose Love for communities. Something you want to do in your community. Again, you can just go right on the website. Let me see if this will play with sound. This is before we started the Choose Love program in New Hampshire prison. This is a prison talking to Scarlett and her young son. After Sandy Hook, but this is Scarlett and her son sitting with a bunch of prisoners down in Connecticut.
I just want you to choose love instead of revenge.
It amazed me in the discussion we had how many people, just because of your story and your message, were rethinking the behaviors they've done. And not just rethinking the behaviors they've done, but literally coming up and saying, maybe I'm not going to behave this way going forward. And I thought that was one of the, because some of us in here have legitimate street credentials, and these are people who you maybe saved lives, literally multiple lives. And I think just your message when you coming here, before you got here, you had done that. Now with you being here, we're all rethinking something in our lives, and I want to thank you for that as well.
You guys are my Choose Love movement ambassadors, if you want to be. Seriously, you know? I mean, that's what I want. That's my goal.
So the FBI Director of Drug Enforcement, this is a quote from him. The opposite of addiction is connection, and connection is love. So I think we can all agree that there's a lot of people in the New Hampshire State Prison that have an addiction problem, mental health problem, addiction problem, and doing this social emotional learning program again it's life changing. Even the men at the men's prison, these big bad guys, talk about their trauma and the trauma they've been through in life. And it's funny because in corrections, I can remember years ago, and it's not that long ago, that men used to get batterers class and women used to get trauma class. And again, it wasn't until very long ago that they realized that these young men were coming in with trauma in their past too. And so men started getting trauma class too. So we were up in Berlin speaking to a bunch of prisoners up in Berlin. And this really tough looking guy wanted to speak to Scarlett, and he finally got his opportunity. And he talked about not forgiving the people that he was raised by, his family, because he was raised in a horrible home. Mom was an addict, dad was an addict, and he told Scarlett that there were several times that he thought about taking a gun to school, or even committing, he talked about committing suicide or taking a gun to school. And he thanked Scarlett because this was, after reading her book, this was his way of forgiving those people in his life. And by forgiving those people, he's now able to work on forgiving himself. And hopefully when he does get out of the prison, he'll be a functioning member of society. So again, every little bit helps.
Lenny,
Yes.
I'm gonna have to give you like the heads up that we just have a couple minutes left.
Okay.
I'm so glad you touched upon that last story about the prison. So
Yep.
I don't know if there are a couple other things you want to get to real quick, and then we
Yeah,
have
I
a
can go
minute
through
for a couple of questions.
Yeah, I can go through. This is again, this is a picture of Jesse. Just really quick, the four things is courage. Courage is the ability to work through obstacles. One of the things when we go to schools is we stand with the kids and we do brave poses with them. We talk about brave poses. The big courage part about this is when Jesse stood up. Basically, the shooter's gun had jammed. Jesse stood up at that point, pointed to the door, and yelled for his classmates to run. And basically 9 of his classmates are alive today because of the courage that Jesse showed. I can get through here. Gratitude, again, when you practice gratitude, you feel thankful and you want to share those feelings with others. So often at the schools, we'll do thank you notes. We'll have the kids write thank you notes, and standing there over them and watching them write these gratitude notes it's just amazing. But it's something small you can do. Again, journaling is absolutely wonderful. That's what that slide was talking about. Forgiveness. Basically, when we do forgiveness with the kids, I can just show you right here. Forgiveness is resiliency. Forgiving yourself. This is one of my favorite things we do. This little picture here, when we were at the schools, we give the kids a piece of paper and we tell them to write down something, an event or something or somebody that they want to write down that they need to forgive. And one of my favorite ones, only because it kind of hit it on a personal note for me, was that a little boy wrote down that he forgave his father for yelling at him at the hockey game because he didn't play very well last night. And I mean, when you're getting first and second graders or even third graders writing down stuff like this, to me, that little boy was going to learn nothing in school that day, because his one thought was that his father yelled at him for how he played the night before in a hockey game. And they take it and they crumble it up and then they throw it in the trash. So, I mean, we made a difference that day in one little boy's life. I'm sure there's a lot that was written down that day, but that was just one that I saw that day. A lot of people in Sandy Hook were taken back a little bit that Scarlett forgave Adam Lanza, who did the shooting that day. And the way Scarlett basically talked about it, and I don't know if you saw on the slide really quick, but she was walking around every day after the shooting and she was basically tethered to Adam Lanza. Everywhere she went, he was in her thoughts, and it was not good thoughts. And one day she got up and decided she was going to cut that cord. And that's what she talks about in forgiveness, is basically just cutting that cord and not letting him take any more time out of her life. So that's what forgiveness is. That's what we talk about as far as forgiveness. Forgiveness is big. Compassion in action is the last one. A lot of times, one of the things we'll do is we'll give them little wooden coins and we'll have them write nice phrases on the coins. And when they see somebody doing something good, or they have somebody that did something good in their life, they just give them that little coin there. So that's the 4 bases: is courage, forgiveness, gratitude, and compassion in action.
So I do have to cut you off.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because it's 2:47 right now.
Yep.
There have been lots of great comments in the chat on both platforms. We did have some questions, but I think I will get to just 1 or 2. I don't know if these are more for Shannon to answer because they're more about the program.
Yep.
But let's see. Do you know how people can reach out to get the presentation to come to the school? I did put in the chat the link to Shannon's information, but does Shannon reach out to organizations and schools, or should they reach out?
So they can actually go right online to the Choose Love movement. You have to create a username and stuff to be on there, but everything is there. They can get it there. But also, if they want to, they can just do that and get all the program. But they also, if you reach out to Shannon, sometimes having a visit from Shannon is a good way, because there's more explanation and stuff like that. But you don't have to. You can actually, the stuff is there. It's free. It's right on the website. So
great, thank you. And let me see if there's. Do you know how many organizations and schools here in New Hampshire that are currently using the Choose Love program? And it's okay if you don't know that number.
I don't know. Honestly, I think there's 5 schools in Concord that use it. I know a couple of them use it just in like kindergarten and 1st grade. There's 2 that I know of that use it in all the grades. But we've presented at Merrimack Valley. We've presented at Merrimack Valley Middle School, Concord High School. So if it was my choice, we'd be presenting at the middle schools and high schools more than the younger kids. But like I said, just in the Concord area, there's several of our schools are using it.
Great, thank you. So are you able to stop sharing for just a second?
Yep.
Perfect. So Lenny, definitely want to say thank you for being here, and we definitely missed Shannon, but you were a great substitute for her. And I just wanted to let folks know that our next session coming up is at 3 o'clock, the continuum of collaborative care, breaking down the silos in the Granite State. And I think that's a lot of what Choose Love has done around just listening to, what was talked about in the prisons, right? And learning to change your focus and all of that. And we just really love that. So we really appreciate you being here. Give Liberty a hug for all of us, and have a great afternoon. And thank you everybody
so
for
much.
being here. Okay, bye-bye.